Hello, my name is Jeff Holiday. Welcome to my channel. Now, as it just so happens, today is an interesting day because I made my daytime television debut as a guest on the Dr. Phil show. So there's a very real possibility that there might be some people new to my channel, and they came from watching me there. Now, it's true, I don't always look like this. Most of the time I look like this ruggedly handsome, not quite so young man. But on my channel, I'd like to welcome you to it and explain a little bit about what I do before we get on with the content of this video. I am a 36-year-old, happily married father of one, and I started my YouTube channel mostly because I had a lot of free time, because I had to stop going to school to take care of my son and other family emergencies at the time, and it just so happened that the channel kinda took off. I saw a reasonable amount of success, and so I started using it for the things that I'm really passionate about. Now, this didn't always work out very well. Sometimes I got into politics, and you can even go back and watch my channel to a certain degree and see the evolution of not only the channel itself, but the evolution of me and how I became the person that I am today, how I developed and how I grew as a human being, and my focus starting to drift more and more into trying to fight the things that can actually cause harm to other people, and especially their kids. And really that brings us to why we're here today, because a recurring theme that I always have on my channel is I'm looking at the ways in which people can be harmed by predatory business practices or predatory belief systems that ultimately end up preying on the most vulnerable or the most gullible of people who are in a desperate state, or those people who end up inadvertently hurting their children, or those who cannot care for themselves. So because of that, it's something that I take very, very passionately, and it will be a recurring theme, and sometimes goes to a really, really sad, uncomfortable place. But that's one of the reasons why this video today is so important to me, because this is trying to be proactive and go directly against something that is happening right now. Today, we're going to be talking about somebody I talked about briefly earlier this month, a man by the name of Larry Cook. This is Larry Cook. Larry Cook owns the Facebook page Stop Mandatory Vaccination. It's got over 115,000 likes on Facebook. It is a rather powerful vehicle for the anti-vaccination message. But there's nothing really new about that. There's lots of anti-vaccination pages, lots of anti-vaccination special interests and people talking about it, documentaries like Vaxxed and Bot. All these things trying to push this message: vaccines are unsafe, vaccines cause autism, vaccines can kill kids, that kind of crap. And it's been happening over and over and over again. So why is it that Larry is specifically someone that I'm taking interest in, so much so that I'm delaying another episode of me tearing apart the documentary Vaxxed to talk about him? Well, that would be because he is intending to, and is currently enacting his plan of, flooding Facebook with the images and the stories of children who have died, very, very young children who have died, and painting this story that these children died because of vaccines. And he's doing this through, well, GoFundMe. He's collecting money up so that he can boost these posts and target specifically parents to bring them into the fold.
I pull in more people into this fold
of the anti-vaccination cult. And he's succeeded. He just recently raised $10,000 to do so. And I'm horrified by this. Absolutely horrified. So, we're gonna have to do something about it. But first, let's really understand who Larry is. This isn't the first time Larry's been using GoFundMe. He has previously had GoFundMes open for, like this one, collected $55,000 in 3 years just for him to run his website. Yeah, to run a Facebook page. $55,000. Wow. Or then there's this one. When they were trying to enact certain vaccine regulations in Australia, he collected up thousands of dollars going towards fighting it, but he didn't do anything. As far as I know, the only thing that he did was make more posts on his Facebook page and just took that money in. But it's not just that. No. He needed some eye surgery. So let's do a GoFundMe for that too, right? Well, I mean, if we need this defender of the children fighting against the evil vaccines, he's got to be able to see, right? There's nothing off about him trying to collect funds for his eye surgery. After $55,000 to run a Facebook group? Weird. I mean, one might almost point the criticism that he's actually trying to rack this money in for greedy purposes. But, I mean, there's no real proof of that. But comically enough, one of the funniest parts about this whole situation is that another anti-vaxxer, and she is actually a rather prominent anti-vaxxer, she's known for putting up billboards all over the place trying to scare parents out of vaccinating their kids. She actually called Larry out for being greedy and for being duplicitous in what he's doing. So check out some of these clips. This is wild.
He left a severance package. So when he posted about them talking to him about firing him, that part was a little bit true. But he quit before they fired him, and he left a year's severance package, or a year and a half. And I couldn't believe he did that. And I was like, Larry, why did you leave a severance package? And he's like, oh, it doesn't matter. The mothers will support me. I mean, I make enough I'm going to have all this time to make all this more money off the movement. His intentions aren't good. They aren't pure. It's for profit, and ego and greed. It's not about the children. And he doesn't do any events. He doesn't do any of his own videos anymore. He doesn't do any billboards, yet people still think the billboards are his. He hasn't done a commercial in 3 years. He has plenty of money to boost the stories, yet he just did a Facebook GoFundMe this week. In 3 days, he made $10,000 to be doing stuff he has tens of thousands of dollars to be doing, and that he's living off it. Like, it's going into his bank account, right? It makes me sick. It makes me sick what you've been doing. And I have stayed silent for way, way, way too long. It's not okay to put ads all over your website, making tons of money, and have money to boost for affiliates, and then do a GoFundMe saying that you want to boost vaccine-injured families when you're spending thousands boosting your affiliate links, money that goes into your pocket. It's not okay to say that you are not going to start a charity because then it would be transparent and everyone would know how much you're making. It's not okay.
But let's analyze this a little bit further, okay? So this video that Larry put out, just trying to promote the GoFundMe page for his Stop Mandatory Vaccinations and boosting the post, making sure to target millions of parents, trying to spook them into questioning vaccines. Check out the wording that he uses in this clip.
So I can go in and target parenting or parents, baby, anything that has to do with babies or infants or children. I can scroll through all of those, and I can type in what type of demographic I want to go after, and then I can target that demographic. So if a person identifies as being a parent, then that person, according to Facebook, is a parent that might wind up getting a targeted ad. I pull in more people into this fold, into the fight against mandatory vaccination.
Yeah, that term, that bringing into the fold. Bringing into the fold. Could you sound any less like a cult? Really. I would appreciate it if you could somehow tone it down just a little bit, so it's not quite so obvious, because it makes my job more challenging if I have to dig a little bit deeper. This is like handing me your ass on a silver platter. What the hell? But at the core basis of this is emotional manipulation. It's marketing. That's what it really is. It's marketing. If you're having these emotionally charged stories where you're trying to scare people, can you as a parent empathize in this horrifying situation? Then obviously you're going to listen to my message better. For instance, I'm going to read just a little bit out of one of these stories that he promotes on this GoFundMe page. Listen to how dramatically this is written. 2016, around 10 p.m., Redacted prepared her baby girl for bed for the very last time. She lovingly changed her diaper, dressed her in a long-sleeved white onesie, fed her, burped her, laid her on her back, and then they both fell asleep side by side. The next morning, Redacted woke up at 6:36 a.m. with swollen and tender breasts, never having awoken throughout the evening to breastfeed her daughter. Redacted recalls, "I looked at my little baby and I knew that something wasn't right. There was blood on her mouth and she was very still. I touched her arm and her face. She didn't move. I started screaming," which woke up Redacted's father. He picked up her limp body, and there was blood on the sheet underneath, where her mouth had been. Nothing had been blocking her face. I'm a light sleeper. I wake up whenever, redacted, moved a toe. She never moved that particular evening. She was perfect and peaceful, just like she was still sleeping. Mother's instinct tells me that I had done nothing wrong. There are few things in the world more emotionally damaging than a parent having to experience the loss of their child. And utilizing that for monetary gain, I find one of the most disgusting things I've ever heard of. On top of that, doing so and putting others at risk. We've had outbreaks of measles down in California recently. It's actually classified as an epidemic of whooping cough here in Eugene, Oregon, all over the place. And the people most at risk are kids. But it doesn't really matter, as long as Larry's getting paid, right? No big deal. But even more so, one of the things that strikes me about this that's so insane is that he's also lazy. He wants to set this up as a self-sustaining beast. Listen to this from his video about the GoFundMe thing.
We can have parents who already have vaccine-injured or vaccine-free children be able to answer the questions of new parents to this topic. Come in, hey, are any vaccines good? How many times have we heard that question in the group? What if my child gets a disease? That's a very common question. These are common questions that parents are going to have when they're new to this topic. People in my group, that's you, can answer those questions. And so then in a collaborative effort, we can help these parents understand, hey, there actually is a lot of risk.
Yeah. He doesn't even want to have to do the work himself. If you believe that your kid who had some problem when they were born or when they're growing up and they developed this issue, this medical issue, you can come on to Stop Mandatory Vaccination and you can brainwash the new parents for me. Wow, this is like a pyramid scheme of ignorance, where one person is going to be financially benefiting, and it relies on the fuel of parents being scared shitless. This is insane. This is evil. But on top of that, really, there's this weird inhumanity about preying on dead kids. Because, make no mistake, this dude is a predator. He is a predator. He is legitimately trying to seek out these stories where parents are in grief. They are depressed. They're experiencing some of the worst psychological trauma any human being can actually experience, and using that to his own gain. And the ammunition for it is dead children. But here's a really damning one, okay? Before I really got to tackle this topic, apparently within the first day or two of his GoFundMe page, there was another story on there that he had to remove. This one right here. Odd. It goes to a link that is no longer on his website. Well, it just so happens the internet never forgets, and I did get an archive of it, and it's right here. Now, I tried to contact the parent that this happened to, and I was unsuccessful, so I'm redacting out her name and any real identifying details. But, as it turns out, there are also screenshots of public posts that she made on her own Facebook wall arguing with anti-vaxxers and saying, no, it wasn't vaccines that actually harmed and then killed my kid. It was SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. And of course, anti-vaxxers like to paint sudden infant death syndrome as always the result of vaccines, whether that actually holds up to evidence or not, which often case it does not in any way. That would be impossible. But I digress. This man decided to take a story that didn't have anything to do with vaccines and try to weaponize it. Tried to weaponize it so he could make money off of it. That is inhuman. That is disgusting. So what can we do about it? What can we possibly do to counter against it? Well, some people have recommended, why don't you just make ads to go counter to his, and then you can do the same thing that he's doing. Well, for one, I don't have $10,000. That would be nice. Also, I don't want to ask anybody else for $10,000 for running an ad counter to his, because there's no guarantee that it's going to show up anywhere near his ads were. I don't think that would be a good use of my money. I don't think that would be a good use of your money. Not at all. But there is something that we can do. There is. I can make a counter video to it. Not just this one, but one that's really quick and really easily digestible. I could even make a series of them. And I can, through the power of social media and with your help, we could spread this, and we can make it go like wildfire, as much as we're possible, to try and spread the actual awareness of real vaccine safety and how this guy is an evil piece of shit. We could do that. We can absolutely do that. Together. And it won't cost us a dime. But also, even more so, I think that I need to point this out. Facebook has been wanting to crack down on fake news. And the anti-vaccine message is entirely fake news. It is predicated on nothing but ignorance, misrepresentation of data, and it flies in the face of scientific consensus. There's no clearer fake news than the anti-vaccine message. So, I've also created a petition that you could sign over here if you'd like, and it's not necessarily to tell Facebook to remove anti-vaxxers in their ads, but it is instead to maybe make offer to pro-vaccine advocates, or maybe to bigger identifying personalities within the scientific community to try and help boost their message, so that at least there is counter information going against it. That way we don't have to necessarily censor these people from saying what they want to say, freedom of speech and all that, but when somebody sees that message, they also see the counter to it. And because this is actually a public health safety concern, I am really hopeful that if Facebook does decide to respond, they do so in a very proactive manner, and they want to put the health and safety of children above how much money they'll make by selling ad space to anti-vaxxers. Here's hoping. But before I go, I want to leave you with this last piece of advice. If you run into an anti-vaxxer, don't try and shame them. It doesn't work. It really doesn't work. I can shame Larry here easily because he's a money-grubbing asshole. That's super easy. But most anti-vaxxers are just parents. Most of them are just concerned, they're scared, they want the best for their children. And I don't think we should be throwing it in their faces that they care about their kids. That's not the way to do it. You have to be patient. You have to use information. You have to try and extend your empathy to theirs. Let them know that you understand why they're afraid. And if you're patient enough, and if you're compelling enough, and if you can have that empathy within inside yourself to try and understand where they're coming from, you stand a much better chance of at least freeing them from the shackles of ignorance. Anyway, that's about it for today. I will have the first of those little quick, easily digestible Facebook ad things up as soon as I possibly can. I'll announce it here on the channel when I do. I'll spread it all over social media. I'll make a big campaign about it. I'm hoping that'll be within about a week, depending on my workload, because it's been kind of nuts. But also, if you'd like to, you should go over to the drphil.com website, where you can see most of the show that I was on, I think. All I got from the show was a mug and a stress ball. That's okay, though. Dr. Phil was pretty nice. Anyway, from my family to yours, I hope you're well. I will see you next time. For anybody new, welcome to my channel. Hi, I'm Jeff Holiday. Take care, everybody, and goodbye.